Don't forget, if you want to reach out to Chris and his team, very simply, you can go to the website. It's chrislofthus.com. You can also call at 350-6228. That's 350-6228. Chris, I was asking somebody, I guess they were asking me about the show, and I said, how come you don't build your business like Chris Lofthus? And they said, well, that's our goal, is to be like his team. And the underlying team was to be like that. Share with our listeners just kind of how you build beyond having guys like Tim that help you out, Mike, that are part of your team, about your internal team.
Yeah, I was an individual agent for a long time, and I started watching my numbers, and I couldn't, I was hitting my head against the ceiling, and it was kind of just, I guess, a little minutia, and I was getting a little bored. It wouldn't be the word I guess I would say, but I love growth. I love being around growth, and so we started talking about building a team and building a group of realtors that we work together. So of course I'm obviously the head of the group, but we hire talent, and when I talk about talent, I just don't talk about my buyers agents or client specialists. We talk about vendors, and we talk about this all the time. We talk about the taillight guarantee, and you send somebody out to somebody's house, and you're the person that referred them, and they kill you. It just kills your business. And so my thing is, our whole thing beyond just our real estate group is to surround ourselves with good remodelers, good builders, great title company like Pioneer Title. I have awesome people over there. I always give props to April Ashby. She's a closer over there. She does an incredible job over there in Eagle. And you talk about, you're on the gamut. All you got to do is go on the website, click on preferred vendors, and you'll see a list of people there. And I can guarantee you, every single person on that list, you call them, they'll take care of you.
All right. Now, Tim, I'm going to ask you a crazy question, but I'm going to blame my 14-year-old son. I'm going to use him for the reason. But he said to me the other day, I told him you're going to be on, and we were talking about Pioneer Title, and he said, Dad, how come we need title insurance? And I think a lot of people, they look at that and say, well, that's just part of the process. And of course I said, well, we get more value in an asset, and we want to make sure when we buy that home, it's actually who we're buying it from. But you're in it every day. Both of you guys know exactly why. Chris knows why. So we answer my son's question. Hey, how come we need title insurance?
and the simple answer to it is that somebody has to guarantee that when you get done with the transaction and everybody thinks that the house is free and clear, and that the person that sold them the house was able to sell them the house, if anything goes bump in the night, somebody's got to make that right. They have to correct that. And without title insurance, who's going to do that? Are you going to go back? I mean, is it going to be between the buyer and the seller? A lot of times those people are long gone. And so it's an insurance product, and it insures the fact that you get what you thought you were going to get. And a lot of people will say, yeah, but nobody ever draws on those, that there aren't any problems. Believe me. Taxes aren't paid. There's some minor liens that were overlooked, or maybe somebody had a revolving line of credit on their mortgage on their property that never got paid off, and that person now has moved out of state, but you still have a lien against the property. That's what that insurance policy is all about. And it sounds like I'm feathering my own nest, but the fact of it is I would never buy a piece of property without having a title policy put on it. I just wouldn't do that, because that's your guarantee. Otherwise, it's just, hey, trust me, if everything's okay, there won't be any problems. You can't do that in real estate, not with the single biggest purchase most people do in their lives.
And I know. That's why Pioneer Title has been around for a long time. You've been taking care of those people. You didn't just say, hey, let's start up a title company. And good times, which we've had, and in bad times, which I'm sure you've had to settle a lot of those claims lately.
No question about it, because things do happen, and bills aren't paid when houses are built. I will give the construction industry a big plug and a big applause, because we, through all this difficult time, have seen very little of that. Much less than what we thought was going to happen. And what that is it's a direct reflection on the contractors that are in Treasure Valley. For the most part, they are very professional. They take care of business, and that hasn't been a problem. We saw it in the earlier years, in the late 90s. We had a lot more problem with that. So that's a plug for them. But overall, yes, we've dealt with some very difficult problems as we go forward.
Yeah, well, good answer on, folks, why we need that, why it's important. And Chris, as we went to break, I said, what is a great time to list your property? When should we do it? Now?
Well, typically we talk to people come into, and I was talking to Tim and Mike on the break about this, is we talk about inventory levels, being roughly around 2,000. If we keep heading the direction we're heading, we're going to be hitting 1,500 by December. And that means people pulling their houses off the market for Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatsoever. But I tell people, typically, when we're going into the wintertime, we have a lighter inventory. We don't typically have this light of an inventory. I'd like to see us at 3,000 homes, personally. I think it'd be more of a stable market, more of an even market. But now's the time. You talk about 1,500 homes being on the market in December. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with the holidays, but that's one day. You have Thanksgiving and you have Christmas. But fact of the matter is we tailor our listings to work for you. So, we have anything from people with 7 kids and they need 48 hours before they can get a showing, to people that don't. They say, you know what, we're down in Palm Springs. Show the house whenever you want. So we kind of tailor to what the seller actually wants.
Now, Chris, we do our sales show right before this segment comes on, and we talk about how many times it takes before somebody buys. How many houses do people actually look at before they say, Chris, I'm ready to make an offer?
Typically it was when the market was really rough, they were looking at a lot because there was so much to look at. But now, you're talking 7 to 8 houses with a real serious buyer, and we're giving them quality product that's in front of them that they want to buy. Typically 7 to 8. We have some people look at 1. We have some people look at a dozen. But what we're seeing now, and this is what I'm trying to explain to people, is that, for example, you and I always discuss this. If someone comes to us and says, you know what, we need a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home in Meridian, this price range right here, and we show up and we say, you know what, here's the 3 houses, and people look at us and go, that's it? That's all we have to look at? And so that's where we're headed. We're headed into a portion of, now you got buyers going, hey, I'm getting off the fence and there's nothing there. Wouldn't you agree, Tim?
Oh, absolutely. And the trouble that we have is if this inventory gets too low, it'll turn the buyers off. And they'll say that I'm gonna pull back.
Well, I think one of two things. So one, we could get that, and then the second thing is if the markets really get hot in other areas, which typically move here, Californians, Arizona people, Colorado, those people that move here and they want to come here, they start chewing the inventory. That the purchase price is will skyrocket. I'm telling you, I guarantee you.
Supply and demand, it will go off the charts. What was the number that you gave me that for a single level house? What were they getting per square foot?
In certain pockets, like in Eagle, like in Banbury Meadows, they're getting 150, 160 a square, and in the Shores, we got spec custom home builders getting $220 a square foot for single level houses.
We haven't heard that in how many years?
Forever.
Well, Chris, and dovetailing on a little bit on what Tim said, one house that certainly won't turn you off is the one you have. Speaking of the Shores, the Flaherty Homes one that you have listed. That place is incredible. I keep talking about it, but the more I look at it, I'm thinking maybe I get a part-time job for you and Tim, and I might be able to make a down payment on it.
Right, it's a great place. John Flaherty of Flaherty Custom Homes, he did a great job. It's a single-level house right there in the Shores, the back of Two Rivers. We actually have 2 side by side there. Heirloom's got another one out there, and like Tim will attest, and so would Mike attest, that it has been forever since we have seen speculation homes of that magnitude being built. Let alone, and you talk about the volume. You talk about how many houses Corey's putting in the ground now. You talk about here we go again. So it's a great sign. I think it's great for Pioneer Title. It's great for my business, of course. And I'm just happy to see people. The moods are better and the economy's getting better.
Yeah, and Annette reminds me that house is open for another hour today, so if you want to go out and check that out. Also, Banbury Golf Course, I think you have a listing on Colchester there as well.
Yep, it's a single level house. Once again, I keep reaching out to people and say, you know what, if you're right now, if you're sitting on a single level house anywhere across Data County with what I'm looking at, you're going to get top dollar for it.
All right, Chris, out of the last 30 seconds, how do folks get a hold of you?
I always tell people you can reach out to me on my cell phone, 514-5003, or you can email me, Chris at CLG, Chris Lofthus Group, Eagle.com.
And remember, if you want to take a peek, it's Pioneer Title Co., as in company, pioneertitleco.com, and I'd encourage you to go to ptcindex.com. Hey, we want to thank our 2 guests today, and Tim and Mike, what a pleasure to have 2 professionals on, and speaking of a great company, Pioneer Title. And Chris, we'll see you back here next week.
Perfect.
All right, so long, everybody.